Good morning.
Morning.
How is
Hello.
everybody? There we go. We got some energy in the house today. Look, it's Monday. We have a couple weeks till Thanksgiving, and I shared this on the call this morning. All of you should be incredibly excited for next year because the work that you have been putting in, whether it's over this last quarter or throughout the year, or in some cases many years, is all about to pay off. Because as we get into the topic today of creating a great client experience, this is where it all really is. Now, think about anywhere you go, right? The first thing you're going to look is, what do I get for the compensation that I'm paying, right? Like whether you're going to a hotel or somewhere else, right? You think about what you're going to get, right? You go to a great place, they have lots of offerings, lots of things you really like, you make a purchasing decision. Make sense? And then after that, how do you judge the value of what you are given? Based on what? It starts with an E. Anybody?
Experience.
Experience. Bingo. Right? So if you start thinking about this, your value as an agent is directly correlated to the experience that you create, right? Do you know what the best form of prospecting is? Client experience. Where does most of your business come from? Your current clients, right? So if you're looking at the work that you're doing, the way that you're approaching it, the conversations you have, the materials that you use, the organizational alignment, the curated luxury, right? Organically anticipating your clients' needs and having them before they have to happen. Do the transactions and the order of the transactions ever really change? No, 80% of it stays the same. 20% is the wild west of what you get paid to deal with in a transactions of people's goals, unique situation, all the different things that go wrong in the deal. Because come on, let's face it, is there ever an easy transaction? No. Even if you bought and sold your own home, it's a pain in the ass, right? Even if you have a deal in cash, something happens or someone's ego comes in. So we need to really focus on the parts that we can control. Well, before we get started, who wants to see some new and exciting things that we've been working on? Anyone want to see a preview? All right, cool. So check this out. Remember we talked about getting all of our things in Marketing Center? So here I have something I can show you. So we've adapted this a little bit as New York City, for my friends here, is like a market of its own, but like this is a buyer consultation, right? Where you can change your market, you could change your photo, you can put your team name, you can put your logo in here. We built your table of content. It incorporates the Med C. You can pick your own photos, the keys to effective partnership. Your ideal lifestyles, we talk about buyers, right? You can put your region or market that they're looking in here. So all of these things that we've been talking about are now going to start being integrated into Marketing Center between now and the end of the year, right? So one system, one set of materials will be published to your account. They're not going into general Marketing Center, but this is your whole buyer consultation, right? It's very different than what you normally would see. And it's based on what we teach you, right? Now, that's one example. Now, the other example is, remember we talked about AI search? I'll give you a quick preview. So look, it stores your chats. You'll be able to put your queries and everything in here. The tech people are making it, of course, it's called Query, but there'll be hot buttons on here for scripts, listing presentation, buyer presentations. So just an overall highlight of just being able to find the things you want more easy. And so those are just a couple of the things that we've been working on, along with all the live events and everything else. So look, a big part of our mission for all of you next year is integration. How can we integrate this as much as we can into the day-to-day efforts of what you do? So, you know, if you think about sessions, all the sessions will have session notes. After the session, when you want to go to an accountability session, it will directly correlate because we're working with your amazing accountability leaders in the community. So what you learn in the main session is directly reflected in the next session. And from there, we're going to work with them on helping you all find like role play partners and stuff to actually practice it. So it's like attention, retention, repetition. So those are some of the areas that we focused on, and you'll see this come out in emails over the next week. For those of you who would love, and I would love all of you to join us again next year, is you can either take a 15% discount or you can have a free one-on-one coaching call with me, which is worth $1,000, because I know we get a lot of these inquiries. Shrag, I'd love for you to help me with this, and you'd be surprised in 30 minutes with a good intake form and Otter to take notes how much stuff we can get through. So you're free to use it before the year for business planning purposes or at any point throughout the year. So these are some of the things that we wanted just to add on in addition to what we already have. And look, our goal is not to teach you stuff, it's to get you to use this stuff, right? And when we think about client experience, this couldn't be a better conversation, is how do we incrementally focus and get better, right? If we know 80% of the transaction's not going to change, pick your path and figure out if you're working with listings, spend all the time that you need and tie yourself to an outcome. Don't tie yourself to attendance and time. Does that make sense, everybody? You need to keep hearing it and doing it, attention, retention, repetition, to the point that the stuff is just secondhand to you, right? If I had to walk you through a transaction, I could walk you through every single last touch point from beginning to end off of memory, because I've done it over and over and over again. And this is not a skill that requires any form of unique ability. It's not like being an athlete where you need a special gift. It is a mindset, right? And then you think about it, mindset, performance, tactics. The mindset of I'm going to approach it this way and think about it differently. Performance, like getting out of your head and the time block and tackling. And the tactics, which we all have here. But the tactics are actually the least important, where the tactics without 1 and 2 don't work. It's why people attend these like little 6-week, 8-week, 9-week, 10-week sessions, and they don't come out of it because the programs are just structured to give you information, say, here you go, now you're on your own. Does that make sense, everybody? I think all of you know if you use this stuff here, it works. And I want all of us, like, you know how a steam cooker has a lot of pressure in it? And it goes shh to let the pressure go. I want all of you to go shh and give yourself a break and realize a transaction is 3 to 5 pages long in a checklist. And each one of these things has different things around it. It's going to take a lot of time to learn. Right? So like, give yourself time. This is not a job where it's year by year. Real estate, who here has been doing this more than 10 years? 20 years? 5+ years? Right? A lot of you, right? This is a multi-decade career. If you approach it as a multi-decade career, you win. If you keep going year by year, making these plans, changing plans, going from one system to another, I heard this before, you're going to lose because you're never going to give yourself the time needed to really master this. And look, if this, like I always say, whatever you do, I support you 100%. Like, if this is not the right system for you, that's okay too. But wherever you go, just keep going deep on the whole entire system, right? Like, if you think about it, there are 3 systems that don't change. You need prospecting so that you can get new leads, right? All the time, past clients, different lead generation systems, then working with buyers, working with sellers, and it all goes in a circle. Those are the 3 foundational systems of any real estate business on top of scheduling. That's it. Now give yourself the gift of the time to learn it, master it, and keep getting better with 1 skill every month, and you win. You'll be better than 99% of agents in your marketplace. And the only reason I don't say 100 is I don't know everybody, right? And don't ever discount that there's somebody behind you working harder and faster to have what you already have. Right? Look at what Robert did. These companies had a 50 to 100 year head start. Do you know at Compass, like, and I don't know if you ever heard this before, Rob Lehman was like the chief business officer, right? And Leonard went up to him and was like, do you have a listing presentation? They're like, oh yeah, we could get one. They turn around, they're like, what's a listing presentation? They had no idea even what a listing presentation was. And that was 10 years ago. So let's talk about creating great seller experiences. Write this one word down, 2 words down: organization and communication. Organization and communication. Now, share with me what those words mean to you in a transaction. Share. It's not a trick question here. Just unmute yourself and share. Client experience, systems. Nobody wants to speak with me today.
I think it's like to be able to figure out like organize like what the client might be expecting and figure that out and then communicate it back to make sure that they're happy or like at least they're on the same page. Maybe happy is would be relative.
Perfect. Thank you. I always appreciate the participators. Ease of the deal and service, process and keeping the client informed, system and clarity. So ready? Now here's the thing. These can be values of how we work, right? These can be benefits that the clients have. But as you can see, no two people wrote the same response. So what does that mean? That there is ambiguity around what this means. Right? And if we're all working off the CSC playbook, there should be one way of thinking about this, right? I hire, and Carol has a beautiful smile on her face today. I see her just intrigued, even though she's been here many years. I appreciate it. Carol, my job in selling your home is to organize this entire process and communicate it to you so you're a partner and you know what's going on several steps ahead and on a comprehensive basis. That's a great client experience. That's it. Can end the training right here, right? Now, think about this logically. I go have a conversation with you and you give me your Med C, right? How do you organize that and how do you communicate it, right? Think of everything you do in those 2 filters. How is this organized? Like, where is it stalled? Where is it stalled? Where is it stored? And then how do I communicate it back with the client? People love being listened to, right? Organization and communication. Like, how do I organize the transaction, Colleen? That's my job, to organize this entire chaotic process. And how do I communicate with you where you're a partner and that we do it in collaboration and you always know what's happening the next few steps ahead and comprehensively as a whole. So now think about this. You have the Med C. How do we organize that? We put it in our CRM. How do we communicate this? In a recap email. Hey, Carol, it was really great speaking with you. I just want to send this to you so I make sure I listened to everything you said and I didn't miss anything. This is your motivation. This is what we're most excited about. This is your expectation. This is your disappointment. This is your concern. Please think about this. And if something has changed between now and when we get together, please feel free to share in an email or let me know, and I'm happy to update as needed. That's it. That's part 1. Now you go on the listing presentation. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff. So now think about client experience and how this pulls. It's actually pulling in 2 different ways. Now they're coming there for their Med C. I'm retiring. I want to move to Florida. I want to downsize. This is the same example I use every single time, just so you guys all know if you've heard this before. You know, I'm moving from New York where they have New York City tax on top of regular state tax. I'm moving to Florida, and with my financial planner, I figured out just in the savings in state tax and no state, the New York City tax and the no state income tax in Florida, right? Or if you're coming from California, right? And you're going to Florida or Texas or Washington, any of those areas, I'm going to have enough money that I can go on 3 to 4 great vacations a year and not have to touch my savings. My expectations as an agent that can help me with both transactions and that can communicate with me well. My disappointments are around having to chase people from information. My partner has a lot of anxiety, right? And my concerns is like, I don't want to be homeless, right? I don't have to sell my house before I buy a new one. So finding another place is really important. because I'm going to live there till I die. That's what they're thinking about, right? What are you thinking about? I know that my family had properties in Florida. They sold all of them, but yes, I do agree on the high homeowners insurance. But when I made up this example, that didn't exist. So I'll have to use Texas now. So here's my question. If that's their Med C and you're an agent going on a listing presentation, Carol, when you're going on a listing presentation, what are you thinking about? You have to mute
I have
yourself.
to get off mute. I'm thinking about hopefully I had the Med C conversation before I got there, and then how I'm going to tailor my listing presentation to the needs of the concerns and whatever they addressed in the Med C.
So that's what you're thinking about today, right? But the typical agent is thinking about marketing, pricing, right? Like, how do I get them to hire me? How do I show my value? Which is, again, the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. Be a value, don't show value, which is about yourself. And this is where the disconnect comes in, right? We always say having effective conversations is helping another person get what you want in the context of what you have, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at a great client experience, right? Organization, now you're organizing your pitch in the way of exactly what they want from you. You're communicating it in the words, their marketing center materials, and all the things that they want.
But also the shift away from the pitch. Because Chirag, I was guilty as anyone. I'd go into a listing presentation and I'd be doing all the talking. Not doing that anymore. Thank you very much. Thanks to you.
And how does that change your outcome?
I feel a lot better about it. I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable. I'm more relaxed. It's a flow with a conversation. There's times where I went on a listing presentation and after the presentation, you don't feel so good about it. Now it's like getting to understand people. And if by chance you didn't win, I wouldn't feel so bad about it, Maybe
Yeah.
the person, the understanding I got to was, we're not a good match. I don't want to work with this person, or it doesn't matter that I don't work with this person or whatever. But the comfort level that you get where you are interacting with people, I think you're going to have way more wins than not,
Yep. 100%. Right. And I think the big thing in this for everybody is realizing organization communication, right? Once you have a filter, you know what to keep in and what to keep out, right? But you also feel good in the process. Someone asked you to go over there, right? It's not like you just said, hey, Shrag, I'm coming to your house. You're going to sell your house today, right? Like, this is a huge takeaway. So now you've gone through this process. Thank you, Carol. You're going to continue to be my client. Now I've gone through pitching Carol, right? At the end of it, how have I organized what's going to happen next and how have I communicated it, right? Now think of a marketing calendar, think of a launch calendar, think about staging, prepping, bringing in vendors, photography, videography. These people still have a life. They have work. Many of them have kids and activities. How do I organize this with everyone and how do I communicate it, right? You organize by putting it into a calendar. You communicate it by verbally explaining it to them and building it in Google for them and sharing it with them.
Are you aware though that Business Tracker, we're going to be able to share our Business Tracker with clients, and in Business Tracker, we are going to be able to create the calendar that we're sharing with the client and assigning them tasks, which is kind of cute. But it's like, no, it's like, hey, get the clutter out of here by this time, or the stager's coming this day, or that kind of thing. It's pretty cool what they're doing with Business Tracker, and it's not like you're sharing your whole Business Tracker with your client. You get to be able to pick what they see.
Well, the
like
$1 million
Business
thing at
Tracker.
Compass is they pick large market like yours and roll them out. They try it, they get feedback, and then they share it with everybody. So I'm not
Well,
sure.
it's beta testing right now,
Yeah.
so, but
So,
yeah.
but here's the good news. Once that thing comes out, right? I always say my job, right? Organization, communication. I need to organize all the things you're doing at Compass. I need to organize all the shifts there are in the market. And I need to update my training and do it for you and communicate it. Same thing, right? So you get to the end of a pitch, you need to have a decent recap email, right? If you're not using a Claude note on your listing presentation, you're missing out.
Would you mind sending like what a pod note like looks like after it's all done? Because I'd be interested in seeing.
It's literally like Otter. It's the same thing.
I'm just wondering like what's the difference between me putting it through free recording and then putting it through ChatGPT?
Well, you should put it through ChatGPT. This one just has a button in there that you could summarize the emails, right? Like Claude just works well on the go. Like Otter can work, but it's weird. Like, I don't know. I also think like there's just such a value of having like a little device on your phone, right? Showing people how you use technology. And then you get good at ChatGPT prompts, right? And here's the thing. What a lot of people don't know about ChatGPT is like if I've gone through an entire thread to figure something out, then I literally just need to put my notes through the same thread and it'll just organize it. You don't have to keep making a new thread, right? So I just, my name is Carol Munson. I'm a luxury agent at Compass. I'm going to attach notes I had from a listing presentation, which is where I go to someone's house and as an agent, blah, 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 blah. I use this MEDC approach. This is how I tailor my presentation. And what I want to get clear is that I have recap notes when the clients read the notes. It is a full recap of everything that's in the conversation. It highlights all the high points, lists out all the actions of what I need to do, what they need to do with timelines and next steps. And now you just put it in, you mess around with it. Eventually you have a thread, you copy, you paste, you put your notes in, and there's the email. And then once it's all done with the notes, you say, please formulate this into an email I could send or put it in a document, one or the other. And now they get this whole document, right? Then you build a calendar. Like this is not what I think that people really like I'd say the misalignment in people's brains is, but making a calendar takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of more time when they interrupt you and you told them you're going to do something and you forget it and you're like, oh my God, I was just doing that right now. Like people know you're lying, right? Like that is not really the case. So you build out a calendar, right? After every different meeting, you give them a recap. The photographer came today. This is what's happening. This is what happens next. I had my property manager here last Friday, and there's 70 different property managers in this Westchester County, Connecticut area. So he asked me to do a presentation on AI to this whole group of people next year. And I said, great. And he goes, if I had any contractor that just gave me recaps of where they went, what they did, they could have all my accounts. Like, hello? All right.
Can I ask you a dumb question?
No such things as dumb. Only dumb questions are the ones not
Right.
asked.
So Jessica had a good point, but how do you marry Claude to ChatGPT to spit out your recap for you rather
I
than
take my
listen
plot
through it
note,
all
I
again?
take the plot note and I upload it into Google Drive. I copy and paste it into ChatGPT.
Oh, okay. All right, great. Okay, thanks.
So the
Yep.
plot is just the recording aspect, right? Is that
Yeah.
so like I'm just like thinking like I could use the recording device on my cell phone, record that, take whatever the notes are, put it on ChatGPT, and I just because I'm paying for ChatGPT, it's just one step less. Because if I like have to think about charging it, I have to think about bringing it with me. It's just
Well, the charge lasts a while.
Okay.
Listen, there's no one way to do this, right? It's to
No,
get
I
the
know.
information. The plot also helps when you're with buyers, when you're out in the field. They now have like a wearable device that you can put on your
Yeah.
wrist or on your neck. So with buyers, it's really good. With sellers, there's more options. We found with the clients that we work with, just going on there and showing them that and saying that, and then 3 other agents come and, is you could ask somebody, it's like a framing question. Have you ever wondered how agents can actually really listen and document everything you say and then organize it and send it to you? And they're gonna be like, yeah, but like, hey, look, this is one of the many ways we utilize technology.
So it's just to like, okay, I see. So it's better if you see it instead of just using an app on your phone.
Yeah. If you want to use the app, you can say it, but like, it's called creating the experience.
Right, right.
Right. It's like when you go into a high-end resort, somebody greets you, they sit you down, they make you wait there on purpose, you have a drink and you're talking about the place. That is very intentionally done.
Okay.
Right. So now, like, look, creating the experience is just organize, communicate, organize, communicate, organize, communicate, organize, communicate. That's it. All the way till the end, right? And then the biggest area of organization and communication is getting them to move to another place. Through ChatGPT, you can literally find out everything about the utilities, the timeline. You can literally put in information, have it build a timeline for you. You don't need to manually do this. You manually need to put the dates into a calendar. But when you start thinking about hiring VAs for $10 an hour in another country, these are things you can do, right? Things you can do is if Donna and Jessica are accountability partners and are both working on the same system, right? They can then split a VA and then train the VA to do all these CSC tasks with the templates and everything like that. That's the world that we're getting into, right? So client experience is about organization and communication and letting it feel seamless, like they hired a service. It never feels good when you hire a service and you have to call them for updates and what's happening. Never. I remember the the absolute best experience I ever had staying somewhere was the Ritz-Carlton in Maldives. It was the definition of curated luxury. Like, I remember I personally really like dried mangoes and like fruit. And so we were there for like 9 days, my partner and I.
Wow.
So, yeah. And so Plod, you just go to Plod, just type in Plod on Google and you buy it. And so for the first 2 days, I had dried mangoes at breakfast, right? Do you know every single day, like we went to breakfast, went to yoga for 2 hours and went back to our room. Do you know every single day for the last week I was there, after I went to yoga class, there was a bowl of dried mangoes there. Every single day, the guy's like, okay, here are your activities. Here's what you're doing. Here's what's going on. Here's where you're going for dinner. Are you still in the mood for this? Sometimes after lunch, we're like, hey, I noticed at lunch you had something similar to have dinner. Like, here's some different options, right? That was amazing. And I'm telling you, if I did not have kids, I would still be in the Maldives. I would have never, ever left. Never. Colleen.
Yes, I understand that. I've been to, Ed and I were in a couple years ago on a Viking cruise and in the Mediterranean, starting in Barcelona, which is fabulous. And I was on a cane because I had a bad knee that was needed to be operated on. And so I would occasionally ask for ice the first day. And then the next day, the steward came up to me and he said, you know, I see that you are asking for ice. And I said, yeah, I have a bad knee. He said, okay, we're going to make sure the ice is in the refrigerator for you. What time of the day do you want them in? I gave him 3 times, and every day for moving forward, it was in there. I mean, it was just, you know, like high five-star experience for sure. So it's thinking ahead, definitely thinking ahead for people.
Exactly. And that's what this is all about, right? Like, we have an opportunity to get more referrals, grow our business, create better experiences, and it's just making more of what we have. So I have to jump. If any of you want to hear just like a quick preview about the secrets of business plans that don't fail, we have a very thoughtful, different journey for business planning this year. And as you can see, integration is one of my obsessions, like getting you all together in person through live events is another one. But the other one is really building foundations of your business and learning how to be profitable, right? That's like understanding how to build a business that creates profit, not just income. So hop on Instagram if you'd like to join. If not, we will see you all at 12:30 for live role playing, where we talk about the pre-marketing launch and the scripts that we use to communicate effectively. And as always, with love in my heart, I love you all. I will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.